So good to see you.
I've missed you.
Well, it's time to wrap up The Wizard of Oz from the witch's perspective. Here's Wicked Part 2. Wicked for good.
Right here, look what we've got, a fairy tale plot.
You don't want to miss this.
So we meet back up with Elphaba, who's causing a ruckus because the Oz regime, who is anti-animal, is using animal labor to build Yellow Brick Road.
That's what happens to animals who speak out.
Is that so wrong?
Which, I might add, is painted. All that magic, and they couldn't even make real yellow bricks.
Beep, beep.
Kinda makes you wonder if the Emerald City is just covered in green stripper glitter.
It gets everywhere.
Anyway, she frees the animals by cutting their chains with her broom and attacks the guards that were abusing them. And all because they figured out how to make a machine that could carry, sort, stagger, and lay bricks, but they couldn't make it move on its own.
The same people who made the bullet train?
Pitiful.
They're also trying to take attention away from her attacks by making Glinda seem even more good than she already is. She has banners too, along with her own pink bullet train.
Pink goes good with green.
And they even made her bubble that she goes around in because she can't actually do any magic, just like the wizard.
Not so great and powerful, after all.
Then at the grand opening ceremony of the Yellow Brick Road, they announced Glinda's engagement to Fiyero, who's now captain of the Gale Force, the team in charge of capturing the Wicked Witch.
Wasn't he in high school?
Well, some time has passed. 12 tide turns to be exact.
Okay, so he was in high school 12 days ago.
You think you could build a whole road system in 12 days?
Do you really think a girl like Glinda's gonna wait 12 years to get engaged?
Try 12 months. I guess they just don't have a word for year. But I do know that Fiyero's really surprised that as a prince, he's part of an arranged marriage.
Fiyero and I are getting married.
He asked you already?
Oh, he doesn't know yet.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
This was an idea that Madame Morrible came up with to boost pro-Oz morale, while also spreading rumors about Elphaba, like her soul's so unclean that water will melt her.
Not to fret, weather is my specialty.
And it seems like she quit her job as the head mistress of Shiz to become Oz's press secretary. Either that, or she needs a summer job because teachers in Oz aren't paid enough either.
Prove it!
Fiyero and Glinda don't really want to be part of the witch hunt, but Glinda can't resist the spotlight, and Fiyero most likely used his power of nepotism to get his position, so he could be the one who finds Elphaba first.
Such braverism.
But right after Glinda places the wheel of cheese in the center of the Munchkinland spiral, Elphaba shows up and tries to skywrite a message. But Morrible uses her cloud powers to rewrite it, assuming that everyone just saw the witch in the sky and stopped looking at the imminent threat. Or maybe the former teacher who is using written media as her primary source of propaganda was hoping that anyone who saw the original message couldn't read.
Wow, I thought you were, good at your job or something.
Well, I guess not.
So Elphaba takes off into the woods, and she loses the flying monkeys, but Fiyero and his team almost catch her.
We didn't see that. You must have blended with the foliage.
Then after saying that they can't rest until they capture her, they just go home. And she goes home too, to reminisce about being simple high school students in their mid-30s, and also how her dad died of embarrassment when she stole the Grimoire. But this is how her sister became the new governor of Munchkinland.
This was my chance, my new start.
She's the last holdout for an anti-animal immigration act, which will require special permits for animals to travel. She's against it, but doesn't want to seem evil like her sister.
How is taking rights away not seen as the evil thing?
You know, I ask myself that all the time. Well, remember, Oz had a really bad drought, and Madame Morrible, instead of just making it rain, blamed it on the animals. So even though Ozian society was intertwined with the animals for centuries, they're now the bad guys, because some dude who just showed up out of nowhere and claimed to be a wizard said so.
But those were the lies that they wanted to hear.
But since no one wants them around, on top of not allowing them to speak, now they're not allowing them to leave either.
That's a choice.
Seeing that Nessa's running her land based on falling in line instead of doing what's right, after she tells Bach that he's the only thing keeping her grounded, he tells her that he wants to break up with her.
If I only had a heart.
So she tells him to go, but when he gets to the train station, he finds out that she signed a bill that would keep all Munchkins from being able to travel too. On the other hand, the animals have just decided to escape Oz altogether, and have made a tunnel to get out, whose entrance is cleverly hidden in the middle of the brand new road they just built. Seriously, nothing but forest for miles, plenty of places to hide it. But I guess they just figured no one could possibly find it here.
How'd I do?
Elphaba's nurse bear tells her to come with them, but she insists that she needs to expose the wizard as a fraud. She compels him to stay and fight, saying that they may be having their rights taken away, but they want to kill her. And just as she's getting them on her side, the lion she released in the last story shows up, telling the animals he has nightmares about her setting him loose from his cozy cage, where all his needs were met. Apparently growing up in the woods, self-sufficient and getting educated, has turned him into a giant pussy.
But didn't Fiyero do that?
Yeah, she was there too, but it's easier to point out the one green chick in the land than it is to identify one dude.
You look exactly alike.
She argues that he was going to be put in a zoo, which does help, but he mentions that she cast the spell that gave the monkeys their wings, and because now there are a branch of cops who are capturing and throwing animals in cages, all the animals decide to continue going to the barren wasteland on the other side of the tunnel.
You die! You die! You die!
So after seeing the train winkies already treating the munchkins like second-class citizens on day one of the bill, Bach goes back to Nessa only to beg for his job back. So I'm guessing he wasn't her boyfriend and just a staffer she was banging at the office. But he sees an article about Glinda in the newspaper and hides it like a dirty magazine and slips out.
Pervert.
Well, what do you expect from somebody we already know keeps a stash of towels to clean up with?
I've got many.
Then the balcony door opens and Elphaba comes in. Nessa lectures her about helping the animals, but not her. And Elphaba's like, I didn't know you needed help. And Nessa's like, I didn't until 5 minutes ago. Bach doesn't like me like he did when we were way too old to be in high school. And now that I'm governor, no other man will ever want to be with a rich and powerful woman. So can you please make it like the night when he was tricked into dating me? I felt like I was floating. And that's when the grimoire opens to a spell that makes you float, but also burns your feet. And Elphaba reads it without hesitation.
I don't even know what I'm reading.
Then Bach comes in, most likely from rubbing one out to Glinda, and sees all this. He's concerned about Elphaba being there, but it's okay when Nessa says she's happy. But her optimism comes at a price. She says,
Anything is possible for both of us.
Which gives Bach the courage to ask for permission to leave because he thinks that he can convince the super famous government official Glinda, who everyone loves without fault or reason, to dump Prince Handsome Face and date him.
Him?
Mm-hmm.
And her.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Who would hit on somebody who just got engaged?
Look, the dude needs to shoot his shot. What do you want him to do? Interrupt the wedding to object?
Well, you can, but it's rude.
Then apparently, the spell Nessa was under uses fairy dust and happy thoughts to float, because she comes back down after hearing this. Then she goes over to the all-powerful spellbook that was just left open on the couch and reads from it.
But you said nobody else could read it.
That's true, she can't read it, but she probably found the spell she wanted because it has pictures. And as she reads, the book does start making origami like it does when it's working. But since she pronounced the words wrong, Bach's heart starts to shrink.
Or it's just your heart withering away.
Elphaba kicks Nessa out and finds another spell to use on Bach. And when she joins her sister, she tells her that Bach's fine, but she needs to go to the wedding to tell the Ozian elite that the wizard's lying to him. And Nessa's like, oh please, you're just gonna try to get Prince Handsome Face not to marry the girl that no man or woman can find any fault in. And Elphaba's like, nuh-uh, and leaves through a very convenient skylight.
You know, you could have just exited normally. Just use the door.
And just in time too, because Bach wakes up, forgets the door is a pull, and just decides to Jack Torrance's way out of the governor's office.
Here's Johnny!
To keep him from dying, she had to turn him into something that didn't have a heart, since his was shrinking. So she turned him into a Tin Man. He wants to hurt Nessa for doing this to him, but she says that she only did the spell that took his heart. Elphaba's the one that took his penis away. So he goes off to kill her with an axe for making him a dickless metal man.
I'm as anatomically impaired as a kendo.
At the Emerald City, Elphaba goes to see Glinda to tell her her plan. She says, good idea, I'll take you to see the wizard. But Elphaba's like, no, and goes on her own. But since Glinda knows where she's going, just heads down there anyway.
Surprise?
Elphaba tells the wizard that he needs to tell everyone that he's a phony, but he says that the people of Oz are so dedicated to him that they wouldn't believe him if he said that.
That might be your secret, but that doesn't make it true.
They've made their love for him so much of their identity that facts and logic, and even hearing the truth from his mouth, might even make them love him more. So he and Glinda counter with her joining them to make Oz better. She says she's cool with that if he stops blaming the animals for things, welcomes them back, and frees the monkeys because they don't need to be cops anymore. And he agrees.
The beneficent Oz has every intention of granting your request.
But when he leaves to go change clothes for the wedding he can't go to, Chistery comes back and shows her a secret room where he was hiding a bunch of animals in cages, including Dr. Dillamond. The wizard comes back and tries to explain that some animals just can't be trusted. And she's like, so why can't you trust my goat history professor? And when he can't answer, she opens all the cages and has him stampede him, but just the little ones.
Their teeth are small but very sharp.
The big ones, on the other hand, burst through the wedding, which can't be too great for their PR.
Is this how you go through life? Just running amok and trampling anyone in your path?
But Morrible tells everyone that this had to be the Wicked Witch, so Fiyero ditches Glinda at their own wedding to go capture her.
Something is very wrong. I didn't get my way.
He holds her at gunpoint while his men go to get as much water as they can carry. And you gotta love the irony when the guy who sang a song about how great it is to be stupid is the only person who doesn't believe this lie about the water.
Not a rumor, a fact. The kind that is true.
So when they leave, he locks the wizard up.
I mean, isn't that somewhat illegal and scandalocious?
Yeah, it is both those things, yeah.
Glinda comes in really confused, so he tells her that the wedding's off and he really wants to bang Elphaba. So they fuck off.
Because you can't resist this.
Then Morrible comes in and is trying to think of a way to get Elphaba to come to them. So in her anger from being dumped at the altar, Glinda suggests that they use Nessa as bait.
She's so good.
And when she leaves, they think that just the rumor of her being in trouble won't be enough. Elphaba's only going to come out if Nessa's in real danger. So she uses her weather powers to conjure a storm in Munchkin Land that I guess has a portal to Kansas, and Nessa gets crushed by Dorothy's house and she dies.
These things must be done delicately.
Why was she outside in a storm?
She was looking for Bach.
You mean the dickless guy with an axe who hates her?
Yeah, and even though she knew he wanted to go to the wedding, she stayed in the area yelling for him for at least several hours.
And he does not have a penis.
How desperate are you?
But Elphaba has visions of all the house-crushing stuff, which luckily took place after she got to bang Fiyero with his man penis. Because that really could have killed the mood.
As it so often does.
My sister, she's in danger.
Go on, touch it.
No thanks. And you can wave that ridiculous wand all you want. You can't change it.
When Elphaba gets to Munchkin Land, Glinda gives her a minute to say goodbye to Nessa. Then after, Elphaba asks why she would send some kid to see the wizard when she knows he's a fake. And why the fuck did you give her her shoes? Then they have a wand fight. And then just an all-out fight.
Let's not quarrel.
Wait, so Elphaba didn't even threaten Dorothy?
No, she showed up after she left for the Emerald City. Remember, this is fanfiction, and you can tell that by the absence of the red brick road and the lack of any intersections.
It's just that one road the whole time.
Follow the yellow brick road. Now which way do we go?
But in this version, Glinda was a total ass and didn't tell her about the bullet train. Guess she really wanted people to use that new road system.
The train is here, and I came with the cutest little man with a mustache. You gotta see him.
But anyway, the Gale Force show up and arrest Elphaba, but Fiyero shows up with the flying monkeys to stop him. He ran into him on the road to Munchkin Land because he got the feeling that Elphaba thought that him committing treason and leaving his fiancée on his wedding day was just a silly way to get her in the sack. So to show her that he really loves her, he ran through a storm to be with her in case she needed a shoulder to cry on next to her freshly flattened sister.
As if he could do anything to help.
But it's a good thing that he did, because he's able to hold Glinda at gunpoint to get the guards to let Elphaba go.
Well, what do the monkeys do?
Nothing.
I don't see any enemies here.
He tells her to leave, even though they know the broom could carry both their weights. He also tells the monkeys to protect her, but I'm sure a couple could have stayed behind to carry him like they did on the way there. But no. He just stays by himself, and they arrest him and torture him to get him to say where she went. She went to his family's extra castle that he told her about after they banged. And that's where she casts a spell that will make it so he can't get hurt while they're beating the stuffing out of him. But she should have taken the time to look up a good spell, since every other one she's done has backfired somehow.
Monkey's paw.
But now she thinks Fiyero's dead, despite the spellbook making a crazy amount of origami, and she decides to go full-on super bitch.
Super bitch. You are so cool.
At the Emerald City, Dorothy's shown up with her crew and wants to see the wizard. He tells them that they have to get the Wicked Witch's broom as the proof of death, and they head off to go murder her. The people of Oz even make sure to tell her about the water will melt her rumor, because they seem a little too on board with this.
Just a little id release, no use to worry.
Bach tells the people that Elphaba's the reason he's made of tin. But then he does something way worse than Elphaba ever did to the lion. He tries to make the known coward speak in public.
Well?
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
How is that worse than abandoning a baby animal in the woods with no one to teach it survival skills?
Because most people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of death. And when he can't talk to the crowd, Bach tells everybody that the witch is the reason that he's a giant pussy.
Oh, that was probably great for his social anxiety.
Probably not.
You could say that again.
But Glinda sees this angry mob and tells Madame Morrible to stop this little girl from killing her friend. But she's like, she's fought trained soldiers for months. Hell, she even kicked your ass earlier today. She'll be fine.
I almost had her.
But Glinda also thinks it's weird that the same day she mentioned that Nessa could be used as bait to someone who can control the weather, that she was killed during a tornado. So Morrible confirms her suspicions and tells her that some innocent people will have to die if they want everybody to think that they're the good guys. But she isn't having any of that shit and steals a horse and rides off to warn Elphaba. Lucky for her, Dorothy and the rest are still at the witch-killing pep rally and will also be walking to where she's at.
How do they know where she's at? It's not like anybody was hanging around to listen to them after they banged.
Shut up! Glinda used to bang Fiyero. Although he probably used the extra castle thing to get Glinda in bed and not used it as exit strategy pillow talk like he did with Elphaba. But Team Dorothy knew because the flying monkeys kidnapped Dorothy and they're gonna follow him.
Nothing heartless killing her!
Elphaba locks her in a cellar and says that she can't come out until she gets her sister's shoes. And then she turns around to see Glinda, who tells her to let Dorothy go. And this is when Chistry shows up and hands Elphaba a piece of Fiyero's uniform. She says he's dead, so Glinda fake cries over the death of her former fiancé.
Oh no.
While Elphaba fills up a bucket of water, she says that she's gonna surrender, but also that Glinda needs to go. She can't be there when she's killed because it might arouse suspicion. And now that Fiyero's dead, she's cool with dying to make Glinda look good.
We can't let good be just a word.
We really should look into trademarking the word good.
Since apparently getting the morons of Oz to believe the truth about their leader is impossible, maybe Glinda can use her reputation to make sure things work out. She even gives her the Grimoire, despite her not knowing how to read it. And as they say goodbye to each other, they hear people coming, so Elphaba hides Glinda in a closet and tells her to stay there until the coast is clear. She watches through a crack as the silhouette of Dorothy throws water on her, and she screams and starts to smoke, and she dies. Then Dorothy picks up her murder trophy and fucks off.
But didn't they just make that water thing up?
Yes, but just like all the other lying politicians, these dumbasses started believing their own bullshit, so no one questions this super unlikely death.
People are so empty-headed, they'll believe anything.
As Glinda cries over her dead friend's hat, Chistry comes over and hands her a green airplane bottle, which gives her an epiphany.
Is that supposed to happen?
So she takes the flying monkeys and goes back to the Emerald City where she goes to see the wizard. She tells him that the Wicked Witch is dead, and then hands him the bottle, which she says belonged to Elphaba's mom. See, he takes swigs from these all the time and realizes that the only way her mom would have one of these is if he banged her. So since her mom passed down the sex trophy to, well, her other sex trophy, he now knows that he had his own daughter killed.
You know, I've never really had a family.
Lucky you.
And because she had DNA from both worlds, she was the one who could read the Grimoire, the one the prophecy foretold, and the rightful leader of Oz. But now she's just dead. So Glinda makes him leave Oz.
Be gone before somebody drops a house on you too.
Then goes to Madame Morrible to personally tell her that she's going to prison. But now that she doesn't have a press secretary, she has to go all over Oz to tell people what happened and that she's the new leader.
Does she come clean about not being able to do magic?
Oh, hell no. Why would she tell them that she was lying this whole time when she has every intention on learning how to read the Grimoire? Well, at least until she realizes that it's easier to just fake it. Remember, she thinks learning's hard.
This is the book place.
But her first order is that all the animals are equal citizens again. And she asked the people that if something comes up again, that they try to come up with an actual solution and not just blame somebody for it.
Yes, that was me.
She even keeps up her promise to Elphaba of not clearing her name and lets the people celebrate her death.
Spiteful little things, aren't they?
A celebration that came a little too soon. See, Elphaba pulled a sneaky and used the rumor of her melting if she gets wet to her advantage. She placed the bucket of water, then retreated to a spot with a secret door underneath. Then, with the use of smoke, she was able to get in the door unnoticed, even though it's a huge door and not exactly an easy door to move undetected.
Like huge.
But she knows her plan worked when Fiyero comes to get her.
He's not dead?
Didn't you think it was weird that the story avoided mentioning the Scarecrow? That's because when she cast the Don't Hurt Him spell, it yet again monkey-pawed the shit out of it.
Ew. What even is that?
It turned him into a scarecrow. A scarecrow that this Dorothy could not have met on the way to the Emerald City because she left before he got to Munchkinland and they tortured him on the opposite side of town.
People come and go so quickly here.
But he's alive-ish and completely thankful for her saving his life. She's also happy that he's alive, but touching his face, probably thinking how much his burlap penis is gonna chafe.
This is never gonna work.
How would I know?
He wants to run away with her, despite them having his family's second castle that no one uses, that happens to have a lot of secret doors like this one where they could hide if somebody showed up.
I haven't got a brain.
Instead, they're gonna go out into the wasteland and just hope there's something out there.
I can get you like a little snack. You want a little snack?
And with Elphaba leaving Oz, the Grimmery chooses Glinda as its new owner.
Oh, hello.
And she gets to fulfill her childhood dream of doing real magic. Meanwhile, Elphaba gets to live in exile with sand in very uncomfortable places.
This dulls the pain if you want to swig.
Well, this has been fun.
There's only one thing left for us to do.
No. Why would I do that?
Because you can't resist this.
Right, of course.
You know, we could be like a family.
Good idea. Aren't you tired of running? Think of what we could do.
I've striven to ensure that all of Oz knows the story of your braverism.
It's over.
Move along, munchkins.